Again, we closed the chapter on really, really good North Carolina football team last night with our guys. Our guys are in a good mindset. They see the things, the mistakes they've made. Again, coaches and players. I mean, there's always preparation areas that you can put on coaches as well. So we all take a responsibility in any win or loss as far as the team goes. But again, I feel the same way I did after that game. North Carolina's a good football team. We'll start there. Mac Brown's done a nice job. The quarterback's really good. Josh Downs is really good. Had trouble stopping either one of those guys. I thought Cansey's departure from that game was a turning point. I even heard their team after the targeting were cheering, saying, "Hey, we got a chance now. We got a chance now." So that's something I heard from our guys on the field, when that happened, which I thought was interesting. So they must have felt the same way. He was, pretty much, regardless of tackles or sacks, he was disruptive and has been disruptive all year. I think that kind of tells you that. But like I told our team last night, we played 3 really good quarters, and we got to find a way to finish it. I'm gonna change some things up in practice this week. It's really 2 fourth quarters that we've let 2 of them get by the last few weeks. Historically, I think we've been a pretty good fourth quarter team. So is that something we're doing, or is it something the other team's doing? If the other team's a good fourth quarter team and both of them are on the road and in good atmosphere. So, as a coach, you never know what to attribute to. And again, you look and see what Louisville did last weekend to Wake Forest. Louisville's a good football team. So I think the parity in college football and, obviously around the ACC is strong as well. So with that, we got the number 22 ranked team in the country. There's no rest for the weary. Dino Babers is coming in town. They've had 2 tough losses against 2 really good football teams as well in the last 2 weeks. But they're still ranked number 22 in the country, and they're coming into Acrisure Stadium, and we got to be ready to go. Dino's having a great year. Coach Babers having a great year as far as what they've done this year, and started off with 6 straight wins and got up in the rankings pretty high. Again, two tough losses. Probably the biggest addition, Tony White's their D coordinator, has done a great job. I think they're ranked 16th in the country on defense as far as total defense goes. And Robert and I, their new offensive coordinator, and you guys remember probably the Virginia game here at home. Come on, Chris, let's go. No yawning either coming in the door. Robert and I, the offensive coordinator for Virginia a year ago, who did such a great job with Brennan Armstrong, is their offense coordinator now there, and you see a lot of similarities. Obviously, we'll go back and watch the last couple of years at Virginia as well, just to see what they like against us. And because you watch tape, and sometimes it's like they like certain things against other teams. They're not necessarily going to run against you, but when you have previous games, you can always retreat back to that to find out, what concepts did they do. They got a lot of empty, stuff to them, and that's what they did with Armstrong. But, I give Coach and I a lot of credit for what they've done with the Schrader kid, the quarterback, and even the backup with Del Rio, that he does a nice job with quarterbacks. And also the quarterback coach from Virginia went to Syracuse as well. So it was, I don't want to say package deal, but they got 2 of those guys. And, you look at how productive Virginia was a year ago offensively, and then you see it leave to go to Syracuse, and then really you see a totally different offense as far as what they're doing, how they're doing it, and the success they've had in the quarterback positions, not only throwing the ball but running with Garrett. So we got our hands cut out for us. It's another athletic quarterback that's had a lot of success this year. So questions?
Pat, when you look at the video, what is the thing that most displeased you about Saturday night?
You know what? I'll start with the defense. I mean, offensively, again, 3 good quarters. I guess I'll start with the offense because it's probably less. Obviously, we didn't play a great fourth quarter. The turnover changes things. I mean, when you look at the last 3 drives of the game, I don't have the numbers, but I think it was a 48-yard line, the 35-yard line, and the 44-yard line. I think with the 3 last possessions, our defense had the ball. The score, didn't indicate really what kind of game that was. They got us in the fourth quarter late, and I mean, obviously we were up for 3 quarters, I believe, or at least up until a couple minutes in the third quarter. I'm not sure what that number was, but it's just how we finished. And on offense, the 1 turnover, which is better than 4, so that stands out to me. We didn't throw any picks, which is huge. We protected the ball a little bit there, but it's another turnover that ends up getting you beat fast. Okay. When you give them the ball in plus territory. But the thing on defense that disappointed me the most was obviously the ability of the quarterback to scramble, which I told you guys he was good. But once he started to scramble, our linebackers were all eyes in the backfield instead of eyes on the receivers and getting the reroutes and doing their deal. They started getting like, we got to stop this quarterback. You can't let him scramble again. And then when you do that, the D-line's hanging out the linebackers because they're not, containing the quarterback and making bad decisions, trying to get sacks. Then the linebackers are going, okay, we got to cover for the D-line. So when you cover for the D-line, you leave your DBs hanging out. So it's kind of, that's why it takes 11 to play great defense. And when you do that, you're going to be in trouble. And that's, we lost our faith that we were going to put pressure on the quarterback. And then it just, goes from the front end to the back end.
Exactly. On offense in the fourth quarter, aside from the one possession that had the fumble, you guys went 3 and out, and then you turned the ball over on downs. What led to that kind of collapse offensively where in the first half you guys were moving the ball so well, and even in the third quarter, what changed on those 2 possessions that didn't end in the fumble?
Yeah, hard for me to say exactly, but, a little bit of what they were doing, playing a little bit deeper, not giving us as much of the deep stuff, and then we just didn't execute underneath, whether it was a drop. I mean, we had an RPO where we had a first down going, and then Marcus Minor's downfield, which to his defense, it was an RPO. Maybe we didn't get the ball out fast enough. He was uncovered. That made it a lot easier for him to get down the field about 7 yards. So it was a good call. But we got to coach that better, based on being uncovered and just running like you would in a zone, an outside zone play, which was an RPO, and Jared caught the ball over the middle. That was a huge first down, I think, on a 2nd and 2. But we just didn't execute as well in the second half. I don't know what it was. Did they over-execute? Did they play better? They batted down a couple balls. A little bit of everything. Again, more than one guy, I can tell you that.
You have a lot of players on offense who've had success in the past, whether it's Keaton, Kanate, 3 receiver, all these guys it seems like that you're counting on have played well in the past, but it seems like they're struggling this year. What do you feel like is holding them back from maybe playing as well as they have before and as well as you expected them to?
Your expectations are your expectations. I mean, you can say Kanate played at Akron and not in Power 5, okay? And same thing with Bub playing down at Louisiana Tech. I mean, so you can go back and look at their stats. It doesn't matter what they did in the past. What are they doing here? What are they doing now? And it comes down to execution. It comes down to that. It comes down for blocking. I mean, Kanate's got a chance on a 3rd down, okay? Going back to your another question, 3rd down, late in the half. I want to say it's 3rd down and 10, and we throw a bubble to Kanate. I mean, if you look at the coverage there, you're going, this could be a 1st down, but we don't block the guy, and he comes through, corner comes through, we don't block him, That's execution. That's not on Kanate. Kanate can go for 25 there, but we don't give him a chance to. So it's execution, and whoever that guy was that missed the block, I'm not even going to call his name out, but that's what happens all. It takes 11 to, so hope that answered your question.
Yeah. Specifically with Gavin, what's missing? Why aren't we seeing that connection more, you think, this year?
It just happens, it's like what, It's comes down to the down and who's open and what they're taking away and what they're giving you or what you're seeing. There's times back there, and again, I know we make comments like, hey, well, how do you, when you watch videotape, you go, oh, that guy's open, why didn't you throw it to him? We can't see it, Again, there's somebody in his way, and there's, there's a lot of things back in the pocket, whether you're 6'3" or you're 6 foot, we know things change that way, but, nobody's 6'8" back there that can see over everything. But there's linemen getting your vision. You don't see some of those crossing routes, which we missed a couple crossing routes or check downs that maybe you wish you would, we call them runaways, through the, through the, that linebacker territory that maybe we didn't hit that we'd like to hit.
You were talking about the defense earlier and the struggles that they had with focusing too much on maybe Drake May running versus other guys. How much of it was also the angles that your guys attacked on like Josh Downs in space, May in space, and how much of that is also prepared for versus something you just have to execute in the moment?
A lot of it's prepared for. We had angle problems earlier in the year against a tailback or a quarterback from Gibbs from Georgia Tech. Since then, we haven't really seen it, but they lined up Downs in the backfield and swung them out there, and we adjusted after the first time. We didn't execute it after that. It comes down to practice. And, and again, we got to get wider. We're going to see the same thing with Sean Tucker. They're going to do the same thing with Sean Tucker. They're going to motion him out quick, throw him the T-bubs, and we'll get a chance to practice this week, and, we'll practice it 100 times. We'll get our backer out there wider. It's one of those things that, Hallett didn't pull the trigger fast, but if you go back to the week before at Louisville, do you remember what happened? It was the same thing. It was a bubble, go. So he's playing back, and until Bengali or the star, that outside linebacker, that field triggers, faster, he's got to hang on to it so he doesn't run by him. So it's kind of like I mean, there's plays off of plays that, the normal eye, but it looks like you got it. Jerry, he still doesn't know what we're talking about right now. But those are things. I'm just messing with you, Jerry, as you know. I know your football knowledge is up here at 10. But those are things that you wonder why he pulls slow. He's making sure he doesn't give up that again. But then Downs runs now. He's fast. I mean, you talk about angles. There was some angle problems there, but hey, they got a guy that runs a 4.4 out there, and we got a 225-pound linebacker that ain't running a 4.4. We got to put ourselves in better position, And again, we talked about it, but we didn't get a chance to coach it as well as we'd like to, and you didn't have a walkthrough or run a play on the sideline. We did, and again, it shocks me that we weren't able to figure that out quicker. Like after you run it once, man, as a linebacker, I know what I'm doing. I'm gonna, as soon as that thing goes, or as soon as I see 11 lined up, at the tailback spot to the field, I'm widening up a little bit, just getting ready for it. I don't have to react to it, but it didn't click in.
When you guys were stopping those type of plays earlier on, and then it kind of withered down throughout the game. How much of that is just coaching for consistency, or how much of that is like, hey guys, during the game we got to, keep adjusting or keep talking?
We adjust throughout the game with a bunch of different stuff. And again, I'll tell you this, we didn't see a lot of stuff that we practiced all week, and we saw, a heck of a lot more passes. I mean, their favorite play is the counter. They didn't run counter all day. I mean, I don't think they ran it at all. And so, obviously they felt like they couldn't throw, to that point, or couldn't run it. And they were just going to let, their best player throw it to one of their other best players and let those tailbacks do what they do, protect a little bit and sneak out every once in a while. So, again, good game plan by them. They use their tools, and again, it's something you have to adjust to all the time.
Coach, how do you prioritize things that you got beat on in last week's game and working towards what you need to work on for this coming week's game? How do you manage that in the week?
It's not easy, and we tell our guys every week, whether it's offense or defense, if you put something on tape, whether it's a protection on offense and you get beat on a blitz, that, hey, they don't even run this blitz, but we got to practice this blitz because they can put it in. Same thing on defense. Hey, they don't really run a bunch of bubbles, but last week you got hit on the bubble go, so we're protecting and making sure we don't give up the bubble go, and then they're throwing bubbles. And as soon as you stop that, they love bubble goes. Last week, I mean, we knew, really North Carolina didn't run many bubbles. They ran more bubble goes than they even did bubbles. We knew, out of 3-by-1 formation, it was, some bubble, but really bubble goes, where they were killing people on. So we were, very conscious of that, but they got the right guy out there to attract the bubble. That's for sure.
Now, you said on Thursday that Jalen Barton would start. He didn't get in the game. Something going on there?
No, there's nothing going on. He's a great kid. To be honest with you, last Thursday I didn't think that Bub Means would practice or would play. He was available game time. That's the only reason, Jerry. Again, I felt guilty kind of saying he was going to play, and then all of a sudden he doesn't. He was ready to play. From the week before, I don't know if you remember this, from the week before I was excited for him to get a chance, and then, again, we got him in a different position. It wasn't fair to him. Okay, it seems like every week there's something going on. And then last week we got him switched around. We were going to put Konate in that position because he's played it before, and just leave Jalen where he was. However, then it goes down to it comes to game time and Bub's ready to go, and he played the whole game and did a nice job. So this is why. But I thought Jalen had started all week. I mean, Bub didn't get many reps, but that's kind of what we did.
Matt, I noticed, you get Tyler Welch starting last week. You working in 2 right tackles. You're working in different tackles to kind of account for depth. But you're 4-4 with 4 to play. Is it fair to say that there's some of those positions that are a little more up for grabs now due to kind of that lack of production and just the way things are going right now?
Not really. I mean, go back to the tackle position. We feel like we got 3 guys, and I think you gave up 1 sack at that left tackle position, and we wish maybe Matt Gonsalves was in there instead at the time. We got beat inside on a sack, but those 3, nothing's for open. I mean, you feel like you got guys that can be starters, and the same thing at outside linebacker. Golly didn't start pretty much because he didn't play. He didn't practice on Tuesday because he was banged up. Matter of fact, we didn't think he was going to go either. I mean, Trader told us last Tuesday he wasn't going, and then he's a tough kid, but. Some of his maybe lack of practice maybe showed up on the field too, but that's some things you have to deal with. So that's why Tyler was out there, and nothing's up for grabs. I feel good with Tyler. I feel great with Bengali. I feel great with Solomon Shields getting out there and playing, and obviously Shane Simon. So it's not up for grabs. I mean, there's some people around the country that don't even go with depth charts anymore because depth charts make guys feel bad, right? You guys like a depth chart who's starting, but We got guys. I mean, we feel like MJ, AJ, and Marquez are 3 starting corners. I mean, those are your 3 guys you see out there. You can't say one is a starter over the other. I mean, it's just because they're all playing significantly. Even when you look back at Bengali didn't start. Bengali ended up having more plays than Tyler. When you look at the play count, it's kind of like, so it really doesn't matter. It comes down to who's playing and playing well, and then we're gonna go with the hot guy.
Over the last couple of weeks, we talked about these matchups, so much being on the line as to what your team hopes to accomplish in the big picture. Do you feel that now at 4-4, you guys can almost enter these games playing with like nothing to lose? That that with the ACC championship pretty much out of reach, you guys can really just play looking to defy some odds or anything?
I hope that's what we're already doing. We try to go 1-0 every week, so I don't know if the mindset really changes because my mindset hadn't changed. We're still trying to be 1-0 every week and not looking too far ahead to what could be. So I wouldn't say it really matters, but we're not going to play any looser than we play. We're going to play the same type of way. I don't see changing our philosophy on what our mindset is. Our goal is to go 1-0 each week, and we got a really good Syracuse team coming in here that's hungry, and they're hungry for a victory like we are. So it'll be 2 hungry teams looking to get back in the win column.
Pat, what makes Sean Tucker unique as a running back?
You know what? It's Sean Tucker. A year ago, they were running the ball a lot. I think they might have rushed for 28 yards on his total offense last year. He's fast. They will get him the ball out of the backfield more. We just talked about the Josh Downs T bubble that they're gonna run the bubble to him without a question, and they've done it already. So you've got it on videotape. So it'll be interesting to see how we defend it this week. And I'm sure they'll do some bubble goes after, which I haven't seen a bubble go yet, which means bubble and then those guys block and go. But he's fast. He's elusive. He's got good wiggle. He's a really good tailback, and he's actually, we got him in the run game last year, but now you're gonna deal with him in space this year in the passing game. He'll be on the backside of a 3-by-1. He's running wheel routes, running bubbles over there into the boundary. Schrader looks for him a lot. I mean, he's gonna look for Gatson and look for Sean Tucker. So those are 2 guys he wants to get the ball to.
Do your guys view Syracuse as a rival?
Yes. I mean, I think, we all do back from the Big East days. Is it one of those where we're going to go fight in a tunnel? I don't think so, but, it's a rival game. But, I don't know if it's to that extent.
What's the difference between a bubble and a bubble go? I'll ask the question again.
A bubble is when the guy swings, okay, and they throw the ball, like Josh Downs. You know which play I'm talking about, okay? Then they fake the bubble, like if EJ's the tailback, fake the bubble, and those other guys are blocking for him, is when they block and then they go vertical. Okay, so quarterback can pump there and then they go vertical. That's what got us against Louisville, the 1 touchdown when he's wide open in the end zone. Eric Howell pulls to get the bubble and the guy runs by him. It's like, so that's what slows people down, and we'll get a lot of work at that this week with what we've seen the last 2 weeks.
Anything final for Coach?
It's not 100% certain that Schrader's going to play. Are you preparing to see some of Del Rio Wilson?
Yeah, we're preparing for both of them. We won't change our scout team quarterbacks for that matter, but they're both guys that are athletic. They both throw the ball well. I think, I don't know if the offense changed a whole bunch based on who plays. I would think just watching the TV copy that he looks like he's in good condition on the sideline. I don't know what it is, a lower leg injury or concussion. He got kneed, I think played 24, and he looked wobbly at that time, so I don't know what it is. But he didn't have a towel over his head, and light wasn't bothering him. It didn't seem, in the dome, and so we'll see.
Syracuse has had a couple of down years recently. I mean, what do you think has changed for them this year? And obviously, that's a credit to Dino Babers a bit. Yeah,
it's credit obviously to Dino holding together. But I would say they were good on defense a year ago. I mean, so Coach White's done a good job there. I start off by saying that Robert Anai has been a difference maker for them on offense. We've seen some different coordinators go through Syracuse and Dino Babers' career there, and Dino is a fast tempo, Baylor-ish type, very similar to Tennessee, tempo. There was years we'd go up in that dome and they were, tempo, snapping the ball in 10 seconds like a Tennessee. They've obviously slowed that down. They're about 22 to 25, 26 seconds, on average. Which is about the same thing Virginia was, back when they were there. So we'll be ready for their fast tempo. They got a dozen plays, 20 plays that'll go in 10 seconds. But like everybody, it's the same tempo everybody's running nowadays. It's nothing's real fast except Tennessee and some other teams around the country. But everything else is, they're going to be lined up, make you be ready early, and they're going to speed it up to slow down. So, but Robert and I and the quarterback coach have made a big difference in my opinion. And and they're making it simple on the quarterback as far as his reads and getting it out of his hand quickly. I mean, there's been times that we've had 10 sacks up there, you know. And you know they're not giving up a ton of sacks right now, I don't believe. And you know you see the quarterback scrambling. If he doesn't like it, he's taking off just like we saw last week. So we'll have to be prepared for all those quarterback draws you saw. Same stuff.
Coach Director, is this the right call with Kalijah?
You know, it's hard to say. You know, I'm not gonna criticize the officials. Jerry, you can't get beyond that. They do an outstanding job. It's tough. I mean, you know, the whole rule is tough. But you know, the guy's going down. You don't know it. I mean, Kalijah's going. He doesn't know he's going down. I mean, before you leave your feet, if you knew he was going down, then you wouldn't even do anything. But you know, you got to say it's a good call because they said it was a good call. But you know, wasn't a good call for me on the sideline. I can tell you that. It was not one we wanted to lose.